Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Mashonda Shines. Well, welcome back to another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. We made it. It is the end of May, and I guess for me, the end of May signifies so much because that means I have 4 more weeks of recordings to go after, for June. And then I get to take summer break. And I actually am so excited to truly just take summer break. But then it's also, I have this guilt factor of like, oh man, I won't be talking to new friends and, talking to new people. So I go back and forth between that tension and wrestle with it. But I'm also really just excited to explore, play on my bike a little bit more with friends and, just do some of the things that I want to do and get some time back in my schedule. And May also is one of those months where it's like the kickoff of tri season. For me, I have an upcoming race, I think in June. I haven't registered for it because I am going to determine if I'm going to do it 2 weeks before. And that's how I'm rolling with life these days. A little bit more unplanned than planned. And I think that's okay too in some seasons. Some seasons you can have your race schedule planned out for the year, which is good. In some seasons, you might want to just go with the flow and see how you're feeling and how your body is feeling to all of the different adaptations and just with the things that are happening around us that we can't control. With that said, I'm excited to talk about this guest. So today I get to welcome to this audience. She's like a teen mom. She's a real mom in real life. And I got to meet her in 2022, I believe, at Lake Placid. And I didn't go to race. I went to just parlay. And it was an incredible experience. I didn't know where I was going to stay. It was just like, I'm taking a road trip. And I ended up bringing 2 of my friends along on the road trip. And it ended up being a fantastic weekend. It was my first opportunity being at Lake Placid. I've heard so many amazing things about Lake Placid, but it really did leave a tender spot in my heart. I got to interact with this person because I think Saj introduced us because she was, again, the team mom. She managed the rooming situation and made sure people could stay. And it was so cool because she said, yeah, you can stay. And she didn't even know me. Like, who lets a stranger stay in their home? This is the type of person you get when you meet her. She's loving, she's fly. She is one of the most exciting people on the race course, dancing, megaphone in hand, big cowbell, I believe I remember at Placid, and something else I can't remember, but it was just big and just energy driven. And every time people came around this corner, they were just excited. Well, this young lady has been in the sport since 2001. When I think about where I was in 2001, I was still in school, had not even a thought about doing triathlon. And to think that she's been in the sport for over 23 years is nothing short of amazing. She has a story to tell, and I'm excited for her to share. And I get to welcome the team mom of Varlo to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, Colleen Bartling. Hey, Colleen, how are you?
I'm so good. It's so wonderful to see you and to hear you. Your voice is just a beacon of light. And I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So team mom, is that okay that I call you the team mom? I mean,
Yeah.
I think you've elevated since because you have like other people on the team, but when I met you, you were like the team mom. So
Yeah. It was just me. Yep.
it was just you. So let's talk about that. Like, I don't think I was going to start here, but I figure like it's such an intricate part of how we engaged and how we met is being a part of Team Varlo and starting this community. That's exactly what you did. You fortified a community, bringing people together now from all over the world to be a part of this team in which Varlo was new to the scene. Not many people knew about the apparel. And now you all have made a splash, if I can say so myself. Talk a little bit about what that was like and how did you even get involved with Varlo?
Um, yeah, it's a really funny story. I kind of just basically Instagram stalked them long enough that Saj was like, okay, fine, I'll give you a role. But no, I was sort of just trying to figure out how I could give back to the community that I had been involved with for so long. And I really couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I was just sort of stuck. I was, I've been super competitive in the sport. I took some time off and then I came back in. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I said, I'm just going to start this public Instagram profile thing. And I'm just going to like start trying to find like-minded people to just follow and be motivated by, because that's sort of how I got into the sport to begin with. When I first moved from Vermont to Boston, I found like other endurance athletes to hang out with. And so I started following Varlo, and I think images play a really big role in how you connect with people. I don't think you necessarily have to hear words or have somebody say something. I mean, just the power of images is enough sometimes. And that's kind of what Varlo did in the beginning. They just sort of put up these images, like a picture of a palm tree and like, all this stuff. And I was just drawn to that. And then they would say something really exciting is coming, and I'd be like, "Ooh, what's happening?" And so they officially launched and they were looking for ambassadors. And I reached out and I just said, I'm really intrigued by your mission to be able to, want to change the triathlon community and increase the diversity in our sport and give back to our sport and all those things that I always want to do. How can I help? How can I be part of this? And so they said, we're looking for ambassadors. Would you like to be on the ambassador team? I said, sure. And so then Saj was really looking for advice. I'm a 6 foot tall, really broad shouldered triathlete female. And so I always wore men's clothing because I didn't, I love bright colors and I love pinks and I love purples. And I couldn't have that with triathlon clothes because it was like men's clothes that I was wearing. So it was like blacks and navy blues. And so I was really happy that Saj was asking me questions about how do you like where the fit fits on your arms? How do you like bathing suits? All these questions. Really wanted to know, how I wanted to wear my clothes as a female. So yeah, I just started doing that, and then we he invited me to like Boulder, Colorado for a training weekend, and got to know them a little bit more, and said he was interested in starting this team and would I be interested in helping. And I've been on a lot of teams and never really found the team that worked, that I felt like I belonged to. And so when I had an opportunity to build a community of people that I wanted to be part of and that I could have input on of things that I felt like I was missing, I was like, yes. Because I think we spend a lot of our times, our life trying to belong, and it's hard to find those people. And so I was thrilled to be able to provide an opportunity for people to be part of that. That's really it. The
No,
rest is
thank you.
history.
No, that's really cool. Like because I think it takes vulnerability to keep checking in with someone and being okay with putting yourself out there. And I think that's what you did. And most people, including myself, would not. And that's just facts, right? Like I may want something, but I'm like, okay, I'll give it once or twice. It depends on what it is. Let's be clear. It depends on what it is. But it takes like being okay with not knowing what's going to be on the other side of that. But your persistence allowed you to be in the right place where you needed to be. So thank you for creating what you wanted. Because usually when we create something that we want after being on other opportunities and teams, we see what was missing and we can curate something that can be truly special. And I really admire what you have had your hand in creating. So thank you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's been really fun. It's been a great opportunity. I mean, they put a lot of trust in my thoughts and actions, and it's been really great. And we're just starting, you know? So
Yeah. I think I was a little bit of the history is it started with 100 and now there's over 600 people, and the team is expanding into not just the tri but more multi-sport and what's high rocks.
High
And
rocks, that's my new thing. I'm like totally into that.
so I love how it's expanding and bringing more people in, because what could happen is those people who are doing the other sports can be, intrigued by what's happening in the tri sport. And that's just another entry point to help elevate and grow the sport. Now, you mentioned something, and I knew you were a tall, like, because I'm tall, right? So when I see another tall person, it's just like, oh, we're tall, right? Like we can talk to each other.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's nice.
all girls have their own little code of ethics, right? And so I never thought, but I'm like 6 feet, like, wow. When I think about it, I'm like, yeah. And it
Yeah.
makes a difference in terms of what you can wear, how you can wear it. And I'm really glad that you were able to give that input in, because it does make sense when you want something a little bit longer and not 3 inches on someone who's 5'5" is not 3 inches on someone who's 6 feet. It's just different.
Yeah, it is. And it's also just what I learned from that experience of sitting on those sort of research groups and being able to give my input, that I've never been
Mhm.
asked to do that in my entire life. And I just felt so, and to be able to do that and to be able to have affect change was really great. And it made me realize that that was the kind of team director that I wanted to be. I wanted to really listen to people and hear
Mhm.
what they thought and hear what they were missing and what they wanted to add. And that came from Saj doing that to me. And I think it starts at the top and it gets, and that's how our team has been able to be so amazing at races where, we can't be at all the places at all the time. And you see just this past weekend in Chatty, we had 22 athletes racing, and we had people that were just coming together and having dinner and creating shakeout runs and doing that all on their own because
Wow.
they wanted to be part of it and they wanted to be part of it, meeting each other for the first time. And it's been really fun to see.
Wow. The evolution is everything. And one of the things that stood out to me when you were talking is, what is Varlo's differentiating factor that you have been able to add that special sauce that makes it um, one of the best teams to be a part of?
I mean, I really think our mission is further together. That's what we talk about all the time. And it's not just further together on the race course, it's further together in life. And getting to know each other as people, and also athletes is the most important thing about building a community and being there to be able to help support, teammates in all aspects of life is really what differentiates us, I think, from most places, most teams. But I also think it's to be able to kind of look to your left and you look to your right and you say, like, we are each other, we are here to help each other, and really emulating that, across all different landscapes is what differentiates us. And I think you see that on the course and you see that out there. Um, Even when it comes to it's not just a Team Varlo kit. If you're just wearing a Varlo kit, you're going to get cheered for because you're supporting the mission. You're supporting the community. If you're just a custom client from other teams that have Varlo, even just a little part on there, you're getting support from everybody on the course. And you see that in places like Lake Placid, where there's a small little race course and everybody's kind of walking around with their kits and you're seeing Varlo athletes high five other athletes just for having the name on their back. So yeah, it's really special.
Yeah, it is. Because it's like you have an instant family, especially if
Yeah,
you're going places and racing by yourself. It just makes you feel a little bit more at home and that you're never truly alone.
yeah,
Um, let's backtrack a little bit. 2001.
yeah.
Colleen, how
It's
did you
like
even
half
learn
my
about the
life.
sport, right? In 2001, what were you doing? Tell us all about it, because you're moving from were you already doing triathlons before you moved to Boston, or you moved from Vermont to Boston and said, "Hey, I want to do this triathlon thing. Let me find community." Tell us about that.
Yeah, kind of. So I've been like an endurance athlete all my life. My first love, I would say, is cross country skiing. So I did that very competitively in high school. And trained cross country running to do cross country skiing. And then sort of in the off season, I was double sport track softball. So just been an athlete sort of all my life. And when I moved from Vermont to Boston, I just kind of felt a little lost. I mean, I was, 22 years old and just trying to figure out this new big city and knew that I needed a community and I just didn't know where to look. And so I found Boston Triathlon Team, and my husband, my now husband, and I were like, well, let's just give this a shot and see if these people are cool. I'd never done a triathlon. I mean, obviously, I swam, just for fun, and I, obviously ran. So I was like, I can ride a bike. And that's kind of how I got hooked. And that was really important because it really solidified my love of Boston. I got to see a ton of areas I would never have seen before if I hadn't, joined on their team. And that was kind of the beginning of the love. And I started off doing sprint triathlons and did my first full Ironman when I was 24, I think, in Wisconsin. And that was sort of when I decided that, I didn't want to start and end an Ironman, start in the dark and end in the dark. That was kind of because I think it was like a 15-hour Ironman or something for me, which were my first one. I was just excited to finish, but it was a very long day. And so that's when I kind of got my competitive juices kind of saying, oh, I think I can do this better. And yeah, that was kind of fun. So
So I love how you and your then husband were like, let's see if they're cool. Because that matters. Like, if you're going to try with people, you need to make sure because you're spending a lot of time with these people. So
mhm.
you started off with your first try, and let's just talk about it. Like, what was the sprint like? Because I do want to hit on, you made a determination after doing your first Ironman at Wisconsin that you didn't want to start or end in the dark, because that's a different mindset switch. So let's start with the the more gentle approach about your first sprint race. How was it? Take us through getting there, the start. Well, maybe start with like training. Just tell us a story about your first try experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget. I bought a Giant. I went to the bike store and it was like a $500 road bike and then my husband, my boyfriend, I guess. I'm just gonna say my husband because we've been married for 20 plus years. So, um, went and got me little clip-on things to put on, like clip-on aero bars. And I showed up at the first practice, the first bike ride. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning and I didn't know any of these people. And we no sooner started, and I got a flat tire, and I was like, I didn't have a change kit. I didn't have anything. I just was like showing up, and I knew immediately that these were good people because the person that was leading the ride was like came back, changed my tire, kind of gave me a hard time for not having a change kit and said, hey, there's this sprint in Ashland, Mass. Do you want to do it? And I was like, sure, I'll do it. Why not? Show up at it. I think it was quarter of a mile swim, 10-mile bike, and a 5K. And I was actually I was really good at it. I ended up like winning my age group and, did a really great, it just was a natural fit for me. The sport just became this thing that I just was like, wow, I can do this and be competitive. And that very first year was so fun because it was all new and it was all, easy training. Easy in that, I just kind of showed up I was 21 years old. Like, what's recovery? You don't, like, and I was hanging out with people that I knew, and it was just really fun. And I think sometimes you get so wrapped up in the competitive nature of what triathlon can be. I think, 20 years ago, it was a lot different. And there wasn't social media and there wasn't all of these YouTube channels that you could watch, and you really just got in the sport because you had like your bro from next door was doing it. And I think that is why I tend to do local sprints now, because it reminds me of like how I got into the sport. And yeah, it was a great year. That first year was really fun, and went to nationals, and almost qualified for the US team, but got a flat in transition and it kind of wiped me out. But yeah, it was a good year.
Love that you still race local because local races really are the feeder into the bigger, longer course distances. So I'm
Mhm.
going to always say support local, and I'm thank you for highlighting that. Um,
Yeah, because the local races, like the girl, I did a local race this past weekend, and the winner of the race was 15 years old. She
of
was
the whole race,
15 of the whole race. And I was clapping so hard for her because, and I just kept going, next gen, because we're all about, getting the kids involved in the sport. And the fact that she was 15 just blew me away. And I was so excited to see that. And I went up to her after and I just said, like, here's my name. I would love to support you. This is amazing that you're here. And that's where you find that talent.
mm,
And
yeah.
we talk about what do we want to see in our community? That's what I want to see. I want to see our kids doing it. So it's
Mm.
fun.
There's so many ways I can go, and I'm feeling like I'm having a hard time deciding which transition to go with. Do I go with the kids and talking about you having kids? I don't know, but I'm just gonna go with how I'm feeling right now. And I think let's talk about your kids because you're not only, I forgot to mention, like you're a whole mom,
Yeah.
like a real mom with a lot of kids, and you still train and you still was trying to say still try, but train came out. You have three kids, right?
Yeah, I have three kids. Yeah, they're
Three
awesome.
kids. And I know you took a little bit of time off from what, maybe 2010 to 2018 to
Yeah.
be a mom. But what has it been like for your kids? Do your kids try, like they come and support you at triathlons? Like what is that like for them to, let's slow down, Mashonda. You can just take the first question.
My kids are the most amazing supportive kiddos ever. So I have a 16-year-old, I have a 14-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And so pretty much their whole life has just been me and my husband doing, because he also is a triathlete. And so, they just kind of, when they were itty bitty babies, we were, kind of getting them and showing them what it was like to be in these. I remember these endurance sports. I remember bringing them down to Falmouth and doing a race, and we had to share a bedroom, and my oldest was in the bathroom in a tub, and I was like, sharing a bed with my husband and two little girls, and we got up and we both did this race with my mother-in-law watching them, and it was just kind of part of life. I remember, nursing my 11-year-old, like in the car right before transition opened, just to be able to kind of like, give her last meal before I was gone for an hour and a half. And, I think it's just, if you truly love something, then you incorporate it, and it's not hard. Now none of them are super interested in it, which is a kind of a bummer. I've got all three of them run cross country, but I think that's just because I make them. um, but I have faith that maybe one day they'll kind of be interested in doing it. My son just mentioned the other day he might be wanting to do a marathon, and asked if I would train with him. And of course, I'm going to be like, yes, I'll train with you. But he's, still 16, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think they have to be supportive. Otherwise, it doesn't work. When you're getting up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're training for 4 hours in the basement. Um, they kind of have to understand that eventually you'll be off the bike and you'll be able to hang out, but for 4 hours you're on the bike. And they get it, and they think it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's a huge sacrifice for them too. And I do believe you're right. Like they may not want to do it now, but as they get older, it's gonna be the cool thing to do. And all the cool kids try. Uh, Like all the cool kids try. But how is it to see you, because triathlon is just this thing of ups and downs, and I know your kids are active in their sports, and so how do you like help to motivate them in the things that they do, especially with cross country, when they, have good races, bad races, races that are meh? Like what is it that you do to help encourage them, because they probably see you and your husband trying and having all kind of emotions all over the place and just things happen. So how do you all balance that? And what is it teaching them, I think, in seeing you that you're able to instill in them?
I mean, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I think um, they, I think a good example actually is a recent thing that just happened to me. And we can talk a little bit about it if you want. But I trained all through the winter for Ironman Texas. Really made a commitment. We didn't do like a spring break because I was training. We didn't really do much for a winter break because I was training, and they were totally fine with it. I had a really big goal to try to qualify for the World Championships at that race, and they understood that because they've been around it for long enough. They watch it with us when we're
Mhm.
watching, and I didn't finish the race. And so
Mhm.
when I came home after the race, they kind of just gave me a huge hug. Were super proud of me for trying and kind of giving it everything that I had. And when I told them that I was thinking about doing another Ironman this year, all three of them, they were like, yes, we support you. This is your dream. This is something that you want to do. And whatever you need, we'll support you on that. And I think it resonates, in their own way. When they're having a moment, my middle child is a volleyball player, and when she's having a bad game, hopefully she sees my reaction to how things happen with me internally and kind of can resonate it in her own way. But I don't know. You try to lead by example the best you can, and you hope you don't send them to a psychiatrist when they're older.
Or you hope that they do go just because that's a healthy practice and it's a
Yes, yes.
being.
I should say that. Yes, mental health. Yes, of course. Mhm. Well,
That
if
is
they go,
funny.
I hope they don't speak negatively about me. That's what I mean.
I know, I'm just playing with you. Well, thank you so much for answering that. Like, but it is like, I wish I would have known about therapy when I was younger. You learn about it when you do, but the thing
Yeah.
is, it's learning how to take, you know, the quote unquote learning lessons on the chin and keep moving. And so I'm sorry to hear about your race, but I'm also glad that you are going to try again and and the hope will be to qualify uh, for Kona. And so we are rooting you on and we'll be cheering you on for that. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I think, my mindset's shifted a little bit. I think part of our sport is changing how we think about things and growing every time. I mean, I'm still growing as an athlete. I've been doing triathlon for, ever. And I think I took that learning experience in Texas and my mindset has changed. It's not about the qualification now. It's about having the best day that I can out there. And if that qualification comes, which I hope it will, if I do have the best day, then that's awesome. But it's really about just kind of having the day that I feel like I have trained for, which got, taken away from me back in April. And so I think we'll see how it goes. But I think it's definitely another example of how we as athletes we ebb and flow and we grow even within the same season.
I literally was just about to ask you about shifting mindset and shifting priorities and how you really have to be adaptable on the go when things go awry. Um, One of the things that I want to go back to, and then I think it will tie into where I think I would like for us to go, is at the start, you said you didn't want to start and end in the dark. And so that shifted your priorities to figure out what you needed to do to not do that. And then uh, become the athlete. And you say you're still growing. So if we're thinking about you did your first in what 2008, I think you said you did your first full in 2008.
I think it was 2000. No, because my son was born in '08, and by then I had done my second one. So I think it was '04.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry for the date. So oh
No,
four,
I don't know dates
and
either.
then you've constantly evolved. What is it like in this? What does that look like? Paint the picture for us of that mindset shift and it constantly shifting to be better 20 plus years later.
Yeah, it's I tell you, I think people always ask me, what could you do if you were like your younger triathlete self? What's the advice you would give your younger triathlete self? And I would say, to the extent that you can, get like help with a coach or an experienced friend that can give you advice. That changed my whole life the second I got a coach. Because I was training like my husband. Like I was like, we had the same plan, we were doing the same thing, and we are completely different athletes. I mean, besides the obvious fact that he's like, a male and a collegiate swimmer. I also I have a long history of endurance, so I take training really well. And I also go to bed at like 9 o'clock at night and sleep for 12 hours. And, he doesn't. And so there's a lot of differences of what we have, and we needed different things. And so it evolved once I got back into the sport by getting help and having somebody help me with the training. And, as a mom, working mom of three, being able to have somebody who was just dedicated to helping me reach those goals. And it doesn't have to be a coach. It's awesome if it can be, but that was really the game changer for me. Yeah, for sure.
So making that determination for you, getting the coach and getting your needs met and not adapting to like another plan. But you made a shift even this year in terms of the goal initially was Kona and now it's to have the best race ever.
Yeah.
What is that like mentally? Because sometimes as athletes, and I guess I should speak for myself, it's hard to make that change when you've worked so hard and diligently and sacrificed so much, like the winter break, the spring break, and focus, and to have the day taken away from you for no reason of your own, for no reason. So how is that in shifting that mindset and building the confidence back up to want to go for it again? Like, what has that been like?
It's really hard. It's really hard. It, I, I just, I don't know. I thought about it for a few weeks, and Kona's been in my heart from the very beginning of the time that I've done Ironman. It's the destination, right? It's the dream. It's always been something that I've wanted to do, and um, so for me to be able to step back and say, that's not why I got into the sport. I got into the sport because I love the community. I love the challenge of training. I love the dedication and the grit that it takes to do all of that and to be able to balance being a mom and working and volunteering is a huge part of my life. I sit on a few boards and giving back to that community as well. And so I had to kind of let it go, honestly, and that was really hard. I mean, I'm not to say like if it happens, I'm not going to be super stoked, but I think, I just needed to say that there's other reasons for me to do this. And also, being an endurance athlete isn't about just Ironman. I mean, we mentioned high rocks when we first got started, and that's intriguing to me too, because it's like
Mm.
I can get that all natural high from other things. It doesn't just have to be Ironman, and it doesn't have to just be triathlon. And I think that's another reason why Varlo is so great, because we have swimmers, we have runners, we have high rocks people, we've got Olympians. I mean, we have all of these people on our team that I can kind of learn from. And so that was kind of, I woke up one day and I just said, you know what? uh, it's okay that if I don't get Kona, it's fine. And I signed up for this race last weekend on a whim just to kind of get my confidence back that like I can enjoy the sport and have fun. And that was really kind of what solidified it for me. I was like, okay, you know, from sprint to Ironman, it's the same thing. You're still biking, running, and swimming. You're still with these amazing community of people, and that's kind of how I changed my mindset.
Thank you for sharing. It's not always easy to share about shifting mindsets, especially after a race that didn't go the way you would have imagined it, envisioned it, and prepared for it. But it is the nature of the sport, and in some instances, those not so good races really set you up to have really incredible races in the future. And some wise people often say if you race long enough, you will have, those not so good races. So it's just a matter of not, when, I mean, not how, but when,
Yeah,
so
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. That was my fifth Ironman. It was the first one I'd ever even contemplated not finishing. So
yeah,
if anybody has vertigo, it is a really gnarly thing.
it is. When I was in college had vertigo, and it was the absolute worst thing because you just puke easily. You don't have a sense of your bearings. You can be walking and not feel like you are on the ground, but like you're float. It's a weird sense. Um, and it's you definitely have to be mindful. And racing with that, I can only imagine how uncomfortable and miserable that could have been.
Yeah, it was wild. It was
Yeah.
wild. But at least I know now what it was. I thought I was like had something. I don't know what I thought I was had a virus or something. But yeah. So yeah.
So going back to experiences, one of the things at least what I remember in Placid was the Varlo experience in the I'm having a brain fart. It's the end of the day. I will edit this part. Uh, One of the things that I remember from Lake Placid that really shifted my mindset about expos was the Varlo experience. And I want to know because I think you're involved in that planning and the trees and just like you're at a tropical oasis, even though you're in Lake Placid with mountains surrounding you. Like, what is that about? Was that the first time that you all had done an experience like that?
I mean that's all Varlo. That's just me riding that train. But yeah, I can't.
Okay.
I think that was the what? Yeah, I think so. It's kind of become a tradition. I mean, we definitely it's a whole thing. We go to Home Depot, we get the palm trees, we have the music. I mean, we really want you to hear a certain kind of like senses are important, right? So I said that kind of in the beginning, like pictures and images. And like we wanted to kind of create this if you hear a certain type of music, then you immediately think of Varlo. If you see, these cool palm trees, you think of Varlo. If you see the colors, you think of Varlo. And it's just kind of creating this sense of, all of these senses of just kind of like bringing you in. And it's really fun to be part of. The Varlo experience is the best. I did bring the gong. That's, I think, what you were referring to at the
That's
beginning.
what it
Yeah,
was.
that was my addition.
Can I tell y'all that that moment in 2022 was the most, that particular weekend is etched in my like forever memory. It was one of those weekends where you're like, how do I bottle this and replicate it all the time? And I mean, I haven't been able to replicate it since, but
Yeah.
just from walking in the streets in the old town to swimming in Mirror Lake with y'all, just hanging out in general, running into, I think it was Maria on the street.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that was
I mean, I knew you were awesome before because I had listened to your podcast and everything, and you had a lot of back and forth and like leading up to the weekend, and you were telling me all about, all the stuff that you were doing, and I was just like, I cannot wait to hang out. We're walking down the street, and all of a sudden Maria comes running up to you and gives you this huge hug, and I'm like, what? She was across the street. And she came across the street and gives you, I listened to your podcast while I was training for Lake Placid, and you just entertained me and kept me, all this stuff. And you would have thought that was the first time you'd ever heard. You were so modest and humble about it. And just, yeah.
Was like I was just like, she actually, you got to think, like, I do this, for the pure love and enjoyment. And I wanted to create a space to have voices to be heard. And so you never know who's going to listen once you put it out there. And so to have someone have such a reaction like that, it boosted my confidence like nothing. It was just like, did she think I was Oprah or something? I don't know. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh, she really enjoys the pot. And I was just so, I think I cried. I mean, I cry about a
You
lot, but
did. I remember that
I
picture
just
so
cried
vividly.
because
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed. And that definitely helps to make it one of the top experiences for sure. But it was really incredible. That was the first weekend I had met Maria Simone. That we happened to be there, Sarah Truitt, and we were like, a team, and we met for the first time. It was all these first, and for Tri Beginners Luck to be that thing, it was just like it felt like such a huge, huge win. So Lake Placid, thank you for letting me stay in the house and
Oh
saying
my
yes to a
goodness. Well,
stranger.
thank you for being my date that one year to the
Yes.
USAT like the USAT Foundation dinner. That was so fun when I had an extra ticket and I thought, Mashonda has to come with us.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the year before that, so I felt like I got fired a little bit, but the year before that, I hosted it. Uh Very
Oh,
last minute. The gentleman, I can't remember his name. He was supposed to host it, and his flight that was grounded, and he couldn't get another flight out. And they were like, "Well, can you do it?" And I'm like, host a an award ceremony where, and guess who was being honored? Like, it was my girl crush Gwen Jurgensen, and I'm like, are you seriously asking me like the Olympic gold medalist? You want me to? And like, I didn't know anything, and was just really grateful for that opportunity. And so to be able to go back again as just like a guest, but you asked me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then we ended up, our date ended, so we had to leave early.
oh man, you just
we
never
had to
know.
we had to leave early because it was a big storm that entered that night, and it had knocked over all of the what is it called? It knocked over
Like,
all of the vendors in the expo. And so we were able to go in and like clean things up in our dress clothes, looking really cute
I know we showed up, we had like stiletto heels and we're in like this grassy area.
in
It
this
was,
grassy area. But
yeah.
those are the experiences that bond you, right? And so, I think people, if one thing they take from this podcast is really the community, this community will have you knowing people and just having lifelong friendships. You don't even have to talk to people every day to have those bonds and creating, those opportunities. But there's just certain things that, just etched in, and you're like, yeah, I know we can be a date, a partner when we
Yeah.
need to go places and, be cute or whatever. So it was just really, it's always really a cool thing. You didn't mention it yet, but I wanted to talk about it because I think it's important. In 2021, you had a bit of an accident.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's important because this is you and I just kind of pre-talking and listening to your body and how that's important. And you kind of did that in Texas. But let's talk about how it almost caused you that you were paralyzed for 15 minutes as a
Mhm.
result of it. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, that's great. That's actually a great way to circle in Texas. So I was training for Ironman Florida, and Again, just another, my husband and I actually, we were trying to do it together. And wasn't really listening to my body. I think as endurance athletes, we all struggle with this, right? We're like, oh, it only hurts for the first 20 minutes I'm running and then it stops. Or like, yeah, it's a huge sharp pain that goes down my leg, but if I put a pillow behind my back and just kind of like lean into it, it goes away. It's like that was kind of me leading up to Ironman Florida, and I didn't really listen to my body at all. And my back was just telling me something all along. And went to the race, went to the transition in the morning, went to go, sat down to put on my wetsuit. I was sitting down for some reason, which is in itself weird. And then ruptured my disc just by the sure act of just trying to pull up so it was already pretty, what is it? Not ruptured, but it was pretty close. Let's just say that to rupturing anyway. And so yeah, I was paralyzed in the transition area for about 15 minutes. And even then I was still like, well, it's okay. It's only going to hurt. It'll get better and then I'll still be able to swim. I mean, just so bizarre. And my husband, amazing support person, brings me down from reality a lot or brings me down from the sky a lot and just kind of said, I really wish you wouldn't race this because the entire time I race, I will be thinking about you and worried about you and wondering if you got paralyzed on the bike and fell off. And I wish that you would just make a decision whether or not, to not do it. And so, I said, okay, I'm not going to do it. So it was my first. It's kind of funny. I have like a full bingo card now. I have a DNS and I have a DNF. um, but yeah, it was my first DNS. And um, then kind of after the race, after Jim ran, he got a PR. He qualified for the World Championships. He had an awesome day. So he didn't have to worry about me. He knew I was in the hotel just resting, which was great. Because when you have a partner who also does this sport, it's a team sport. I mean, you have to kind of cheer each other on. And sometimes the hard truth is something that you need to hear. And so I went back home and I did all of the things, and they kind of told me I'd never be competitive again unless I got surgery. I needed to get the surgery. I'd be able to do little local things if I wanted to and take it easy, but never as fast as I wanted to be. And I just had this image in my head of getting the surgery and then never being the same. And so I just said, I'm going to try to do this and I'm going to try to build my strength on my own, well, obviously through help, and I'll see what I can do. So it took me 2 years, really, truly, of physical therapy, so much stretching. I mean, I still stretch every time before and after I, do anything. A lot of core, a lot of strength. And that's when I signed up for Lake Placid last year. I decided, okay, I'm ready to try this and do this again. And I came back after that injury stronger than I've ever been. That whole season last year, I had PR after PR. I mean, I've been doing the sport for 20 years and I was PRing things. And so I think the resilience of just taking the time to kind of trust my gut and not take the surgery, and then also take the time to really build back that strength. I mean, I see it now. I'm just, running faster, biking faster, swimming better. So it was a long journey, but one that was important to take.
That not even the lesson of listening to your body, but trusting your your gut and
Yeah.
trusting that intuition. That's major. That you were able to see the vision and like, I don't want that. So let me try something different and doing it. So for those of you who are like me and just heard Colleen say, stretch before and after. Mashonda, yeah, girl, you stretch. Okay, sorry. Just had to have a little internal conversation
God,
with myself
it
because
was,
I
yeah,
don't stretch enough. And it's like one of those things you take for granted because you're moving from one thing to another. Take 5 minutes to do something is better than getting in the shower because you're running late for work. Build in the time, Mashonda. Girl, do it. And for whoever else who's listening, put your name there because we do it. Look at me as I'm doing my stretch ball, like, do it.
so hard. I have a thing. This is like a thing that I put for my back. I have it on my desk. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's so hard, and it's hard. Physical therapy is hard too because a lot of times there's a box that they can only fit in, and so it's if you're not doing like private physical therapy, you have to go through insurance, and then it's limited, and so that can be time consuming and everything. So it's
It is. It is. As I was
intense.
today, I was riding the bike to Whole Foods before our interview. I was like, oh, I got a small window to get to Whole Foods to take this Amazon thing back and come back. And I rode the bike. And I was like, oh, you got physical therapy. Like you started thinking about you got to plan time for that. But no, it's truly a thing. And we do have to listen to our bodies. And, our bodies are telling us stuff all the time. And so we want to be able to do this sport until we decide we don't want to anymore. We don't want
Totally.
to
Yeah.
be able to stop the sport because we have to. Like we want to be able to make those decisions. So listen to your body. Colleen, I can talk to you like forever. And I'm sure we can like keep going on and on and on. But I want to just say thank you so much for what you're doing. And, being in this sport for over 20 years, you're a mom, you're a wife, you have like a big girl job, like not a small, like a whole big girl job, like executive up in this piece. And to be able to do all the things and prioritize, what would you leave a beginner with, or just an athlete in general, with how to balance it all and still do what you love, and continuously like to improve? And what advice would you just leave with us?
Um, I think surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals is really, really important. And that's what got me into the sport. And that's what we're trying to create at Team Varlo is kind of, finding people. And like-minded doesn't have to be exactly the same. So it doesn't, just like we are all different athletes, we all have different ways of thinking, but just like good humans, just so somebody who's just kind of getting into that sport, trying because that support that you get from surrounding yourself with people who are kind of doing the same, kind of in the same realm as you is really rare. And once you find it, you got to hold on to it. And I think just, we've all been there. Like, go to your triathlon and talk to the people in next to you. Talk to the girls that are or the boys that are lining up with you in your transition, and ask them for advice because everybody wants to share, and that's why the community is so amazing. And don't be shy to do that because I think knowledge is power, movement is medicine, all those things. And that's kind of the advice that I would give for a new person coming into this sport. And if they're ever looking for anybody to talk to, I'm happy to be that person too, because I'm an open book and happy to chat. So,
Thank you so much. Now let's get some rapid fire in this
oh
place.
gosh.
I'm gonna try to think outside the box for you because you are Colleen. Okay. Um, race in hot, sunny weather or cool and cloudy conditions?
Oh, well, having just raced in Texas, I will 100% say cool and cloudy. Although I did feel kind of awesome and cool trying to like get all that heat prep in my basement when I was like wearing a full-on wetsuit and like or sweatsuit and everything like that. But no, cool and cloudy for sure.
I'm sorry, wearing a full sweatsuit doing what?
Oh, so part of the heat prep was wearing like a sweatsuit with a fan, like a heater in my basement in the middle of December to try to get used. Actually, it wasn't in the middle of December, it was closer to March, I guess, but trying to get used to riding in the heat and getting my body used to it.
Oh, but you had on bibs underneath that sweatsuit.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to ask because sometimes okay.
Barlow bibs, very comfortable.
Okay. Best recovery tool or method for you?
Honestly, magnesium. I've been taking magnesium pills lately at night to help me with recovery and sleep, and it has been amazing. So that's again, still learning. That was my coach's suggestion a couple years ago, Ego Man. She kind of told me to do it, and I've been doing it. It's awesome.
Okay, okay. Most memorable finish line moment.
Oh, finishing Lake Placid. My husband put the medal around my neck. It was awesome.
That is
Yeah.
so cute. Um, Favorite distance to race.
Oof, I don't know. Favorite distance. I have to say probably 70.3. Yeah, because it's just long enough to have to work hard, but also short enough where you have the day back.
High cadence cycling or grinding it out with lower cadence?
High cadence. I feel like I'm working harder if I'm high cadence. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm a grinder, so it doesn't
Oh, you
matter. I'm a power rider, which is my problem. Like I am powerful, but not fast. Like I don't know how
yeah.
to convert the high cadence, but I'm learning. I'm learning.
See? We always learn. Yeah.
Um, T1 or T2, which is more challenging for you?
Probably, I don't know, probably T1 because of the wetsuit. I don't know. Yeah.
Hmm. Morning or evening workouts?
I used to be a morning if you talked to me in 2001, but now I am evening. I'm that person that's like starting their workout at usually 9 o'clock at night and doing the both workouts back to back, even though I'm not supposed to. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and okay. So then how do you sleep then? Okay, never mind. That's opening up a whole nother can of worms that we may not have time for.
Maybe it's not 9, maybe it's like 7.
Okay, because you said earlier you sleep for 12 hours, and I'm like, well, damn, how do I get to the bed at 9 o'clock
Yeah,
and
no,
sleep
that
for
was
12
an
hours?
exaggeration, but I definitely sleep a lot for sure, more than most people.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay, I
Yeah.
love it. So as long as you're working out and sleeping. Um, you know, favorite place to try, favorite destination to try.
Um, I am gonna switch it up on you because I don't know off the top of my head a favorite destination to try, but I did the big 5 marathons when there was only five. Now there's seven. Um,
Mm,
so my favorite marathon is the Berlin Marathon. And if anybody is thinking about doing one, I highly recommend that one because it truly feels like you're in a world major. And the history around running Berlin was just super great and super fun.
okay, we got to figure out a race that you just are just breathtaking away for tries. But I love that Berlin. I feel like
Yeah, I
Berlin's gonna
guess
be
maybe
good.
St. George, that was pretty great.
Yeah,
St. George is really beautiful. It's everything that you hear about.
yeah. Okay, okay. And I think this is the last year for St. George, right?
I know, it's so sad.
I know. Okay, okay. Focus. Focus. Do you pee on the bike or get off and take a proper pee break?
I've been trying really hard to pee on the bike, but I can't. I like can't physically do it. Like peeing on the run is no problem because I've had 3 kids and like I just laugh hard and I pee, but peeing on the bike is something that I have not been able to do.
Well,
I
does
mean, I don't
pee
know. Is that a flex? If you can, I think it is.
it's a preference. Like some people are just absolutely disgusted by it, and some people are like, "Yeah, I can do it," and some people it's just a preference. But I just think it's a funny question to ask because you've had the accident, or I don't know how I came up with this question. I think it was maybe I peed on my bike for the first time at a race and was like, "This is horrible," and maybe I just want to know how many people have been in that situation before. Because you think like, dang, am I the only one who's peed on my bike? But because you're told to go to the bathroom, you're conditioned to, everything that everything that you were conditioned to learn as a child as it relates to hygiene. Somehow feel like it goes out the door when you're doing triathlon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought it was just me because I'm that girly girl who I'm like, I don't mind being sweaty, but I don't like being dirty. And
Yeah.
so See, it's a whole different world, and life happens, and you're just like, well, what you
Oh
gonna
my gosh, I'll never forget last year. We had a ton of people doing Lake Placid last year on the team. It was awesome. There were so many like Varlo folks, but I remember, and you kind of mentioned on when I'm on the course, I'm like that person that's just so hyped to see people. Like I'll take 5 seconds out of my race to give you a hug if I see you like spectating, just because that just means so much to me. And
and you
I
have the
was
speed to do it.
Well, and I was running by one of our teammates, and I went to go and give her a hug, and because she was going this way and I was going this way, and she said, "Colleen, I'm like covered in pee. Can we please just high five?" And for me, and any other scenario that would sound so bizarre, but I was like, "Okay, yeah, we'll just high five, covered in pee, got it." You know? Anyway,
Oh, I hate this. Like, it's so funny how the things that you wouldn't do as a child, it's you're at an adult and you do it, and the first time you do it, you're like, oh, a little shy. And then you're like, it is what it is. Like last year, well, I don't know if I should say this, but we were training and I had to go to the bathroom so bad. And we train in a lot of remote areas where we don't have access to like to bathrooms. And it was just really bad. And sometimes you're in situations like that, and I'll just have a hang tag there or a cliffhanger there because I don't feel like telling the story.
well, not to talk about pee, but I was a Girl Scout troop leader for my daughter, my middle daughter, from the time she was in kindergarten to the time she was in seventh grade. We had 12 girls, all until the troop disbanded in seventh grade because they just wanted to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll never forget teaching those girls how to cop a squat in the woods. It was our first. They were in like third or fourth grade, and we went camping, and they thought they were so cool because they could go pee in the woods. And yeah, it's just you never forget the first time those remote places. You got to learn how to do it.
You don't forget. And when you grow up, like when you're traveling, the boys could always pee in a cup in the car or
Yeah.
pee in a bottle.
Yeah.
And we had to actually anyway.
This is taking a tangent, but it is important.
It is. Such a tangent. Okay. We're wrapping it up. Thank you, Colleen. It is a joy to have you. I'm so grateful that we were able to do this. We'll have to do it again and even invite your husband on. So I got I don't think I realized. I don't think I've met him before.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. We talk about support people, and he is truly like, I mean, he's my bike tech, he's my nutritionist, he's the babysitter, he's the Sherpa, he's everything. And I think I couldn't do all this stuff if I didn't have his help. So to all the Sherpas out there, it's truly they're important.
Yeah. Shout out to that. Okay, I need a bike tech, a Sherpa, excuse me, all the things. Just putting that out there too. All right, in real
The universe.
Just putting it out there. In real life, we are going to go. Colleen, thank you. Whenever you try beginner's luck, you truly always win. Like, share, post this to your friends. We're excited to just keep doing and providing good stories that motivate you to do and try better, continue to grow. And just do all the things. Clearly it's time for us to go. My name is Mashonda Miles, also known as Mashonda Shines, and we are out. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try beginner's luck, you always win.